That was the caricaturisation of Bob's economic policies.
Yeah. Speak more of him because he is, of course, the decisive figure in the latter half of the 20th century in Australian politics.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right. I mean, by action and by inspiration, Santa Maria decisively affected both political parties, and even today, the tremors from those seismic shocks, the after tremors of those shocks are still being felt. I mean, Bob mobilised the, dare I say it, conservative Catholics.
Yes.
He marched them into the Labor Party and mobilised those that were already there. And then, after the Abbott explosion, he marched them out of the Labor Party. And while he never quite marched them into the Liberal Party, once they had been activated, if they couldn't be in the Labor Party, inevitably quite a lot of them went to the Liberal and to the National parties. And so when Bob died, and the Daily Telegraph was good enough to ask me to write an obit of Bob, I was able to say that the DLP was alive and well and living inside the Howard government.
Or today inside the Macquarie Street Parliament. Yeah. I want to talk about the bloody great carbon tax that you find so offensive. I mean, I think it comes to $20 a week per person. That same person might well pay $20 a week crossing the Harbour Bridge. Why is it such an offensive idea that a person can pay that much to cross the Harbour Bridge but should not pay that much to save the world?
Well, this is a new burden, and even the more enthusiastic advocates of an emissions trading scheme, if they're fair income, would have to concede that it is unlikely to save the world anytime soon. Now, I think there are good arguments for trying to reduce emissions. There are good arguments for trying to reduce our footprint on the planet. But if the climate change alarmists, if I might use that language, are right, and that we are already in the grip of harmful man-made climate change, the result of an ETS is not going to be with us for decades or even centuries, given all the damage which has, they say, been done up till now. I mean, we can put an ETS in place tomorrow and still be actually increasing our emissions, for many years to come. I mean, the whole point of this ETS is not actually to reduce emissions, it's to increase the price of certain daily activities. Now, because this is a political issue, a current political issue, I should say, the Liberal Party will have a strong and effective climate change policy, and rather than just increase the price of things, I would like to see us directly reduce emissions, and that's what we're working on now.
Would it not make more sense to spend an equal amount of money buying up the entire Indonesian forest?
Well, that's a very good thought. That is a very good thought, because if you had $12 billion to spend,
exactly.
You could actually buy half of Indonesia and prevent.
And a huge proportion of the carbon emissions from those damn bushfires on those
indeed,
damn
and for a lot less than $12 billion here in Australia, you could plant trees that would do an enormous amount of the work needed to reduce our emissions and meet our targets.
Given that this issue is the most important since the Ice Age...
Oh, it's the greatest moral challenge of our time. But it's quite interesting.
Was it not bizarre?
It was quite interesting, Bob. I was at a function today. It was an Australia-Israel dialogue forum, and our Prime Minister, God bless him, made a long speech, much of which was about climate change. Now, in Israel, the climate change they are worried about is Iranian nuclear weapons, which could do a lot of damage to the climate of Israel. Now,
and the Iranians are quite scared of Israeli.
But this idea that compared to war, injustice, man's inhumanity to man, that this is the greatest moral challenge of the age. I mean, at the very least, it is a symptom of the inflation of language that our Prime Minister has been able to get away with this.
Speak about the inflation of language, as Annabelle did earlier on it. You seem to have a visceral contempt for Ruddisms, do you not?
Yeah, and I think anyone who listened to parliamentary question time would have to be dismayed at the standard of the oratory.
Should he sleep more, travel less, have less Should he have speech writers? What is your solution?
Well, I think one thing you can't say of Rudd is that he lacks a work ethic. I mean, he is an incredibly hard-working person. One thing that I also don't think you can say of Rudd is that he lacks idealism. One thing you can't say of Rudd is that he's not a good man. I mean, plainly, he is a decent human being who, by his own lights, wants to build a better country, and he works incredibly hard to bring that about. So all of that is admirable. But I wish he could speak an intelligible English sentence. And Bob, you've written speeches for Labor leaders.
Yeah.
Have you offered?
Oh yes, I have, and I was treated with sort of like that, you know, like an unwelcome vampire.
Well, might have another go.
Yeah, I think that it's partly architectural. Since the new building, there has been this cocooning of the leadership in approving courtiers, among approving courtiers.
Yeah, but just in terms of parliamentary debate, I mean, Howard and Costello,
yes,
and Keating and even Beazley,
yes,
they were fine. I mean, three of them were outstanding parliamentary orators, and one of them was a very good parliamentary orator.
yeah.
And I think it's a pity that Kevin Rudd has debased the art.
Has spin threatened democracy itself?
Well, I think it depends what you mean by spin. I mean, if by spin...
By the repetition of chosen words,
yeah,
words chosen by a committee throughout the news cycle.
Yeah, I think that is a problem. It's a big problem. I mean, you've got to be on message, and being on message basically means repeating the mantra again and again and again.
How do you differ from a professional politician of the past?
I'm probably not sufficiently familiar with the past to make that judgment. I might be a conservative, but that doesn't mean I live in the past, Bob.
You seem to have a gift of intimacy that many tub thumpers lack. Is this so, isn't it?
Well, show me the tub thumper and I will tell you whether he or she has the gift of intimacy.
Let me read what Shakespeare wrote.
Yeah.